Reciprocal links sound ideal. You link to me and I'll link to you. Do it enough times and you both get better rankings, right? I mean, there's more to the story than that, so let's dive in. So essentially this is when two or more sites make an agreement to link to each other. Often site A will link to site B on page about XYZ, and then site B will link back to them on the same page they've just linked out on. And there's a lot of people doing things like that. Now obviously I know a lot of you are scared about doing reciprocal links and you avoid doing it at all cost. And obviously when you delve into Google's guidelines, they would consider doing this link scheme and that it should be avoided. And in extreme cases, I could understand why they would penalise a site for doing that. So i.e. if somebody created a huge network of low quality sites which all interlinked together multiple times, it wouldn't be fair to reward that network with better rankings purely just because of the sheer volume of links coming into each site. It could be considered an example of unnatural linking and a clear attempt to manipulate search rankings. However, that doesn't mean that reciprocal links should always be avoided altogether. You need to remember Google's guidelines are fairly general and aren't necessarily giving the full picture. So here's when you should still do reciprocal linking. You need to think about contextual relevance. So it needs to be part of a strategy and not purely a tactic to drive link equity. So don't just do link exchanges because of its perceived authority, its domain authority or domain rating, but where there's no relevance, you have to, when you're going to exchange links, it needs to be where it's relevant, where it makes sense to actually have a link, and where it would make sense to link out to as well. So when you do this correctly, the links are contextual and therefore hold value. Too many links from spammy sites, whether it's reciprocal or not, are going to have a negative effect. You also want to think about the site that you're linking out to. Having the link there on your site, does it add value to the content? So is what you're linking to a valuable piece of content essentially? Is it going to actually be of use to the user reading your page? If you satisfy that, it's worth doing. It also works both ways as well. I mean, if the person linking to you, if they know what they're doing, should link out to you if you have something which would be relevant and useful enough to people browsing their page as well. It bodes well as well in terms of the quality of the referral traffic coming through from the link as well. And it goes without saying, links are just about sheer volume. Continually getting links from a mere handful of sites isn't going to have a huge long-term effect in terms of link equity or link juice. So you exchange links where it's necessary. Exchanging links with a site multiple times over a time period, if it adds value to your content and vice versa, but don't restrict yourself to continually linking to the same sites. It's unnatural, it doesn't add value in the long term, and it can put you at some risk if it's deemed a manipulative link scheme. You also have to be aware that reciprocal links are not going to have huge value. They do have value occasionally, but you need to be aware. You also should be aware that they're not going to have a huge negative effect when they're done right. It's not going to have but it's also not going to have a hugely positive effect on rankings either. Some of the evidence suggests that if site A links out to site B on a page and site B links back from that same page, the links could effectively cancel each other out. So to mitigate this, you could probably aim to link back to each other on separate pages, but of course you still needs to be some contextual relevance in both cases as well. So as much as you can, try to aim for a one-way link only and maybe use something else as leverage. A good alternative would be to offer to write a guest post for them in exchange for a link, or maybe to drive traffic to them via social media, instead of via a link. But really, to summarise, you don't have to be scared about using reciprocal links. They're fine to use. Use them sparingly, don't overuse them. And as a kind of general rule of thumb, I would probably say to keep it under, say, 20% and probably lower if you can. It's kind of a general summary of reciprocal links and my thoughts on them. Would love to hear yours as well, and obviously I'll see you in the next video.